friends and family.
It's all about sharing a feast and cheers.
It's always been happy cause the children are dear.
It's all about peace every time of the year.
If only I could see your face again, not behind the screen at the other end.
If only we could party, kick back your boots, just let me.
Wishing Christmas time, we be together.
It's all about the family. It's all about TNC. What? It's all about the family. Don't fret, don't sweat. You know what it is, cause you know, and I know we'll be together
We'll
again.
go together to be together. It's Christmas time once again, and you know how we'll begin. Spread love and receive blessings from above.
If only I could see your face again, not behind the screen at the other end. If only we could party, kick back your boots, just let me.
Wishing Christmas time we'd be together again.
Wishing Christmas time, we'll be together again.
The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, hello and welcome to the new channel. Born out of passion, we are a community that helps you be the new you. My name is Mras, live streaming from the beautiful state of Colorado, and we have mountains with snow. You're watching Mental Shift, Season 4, Episode 50. Good evening to the United States and to the Philippines. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. My guest tonight, well, my goodness, she's pretty amazing. She's an international best-selling author, a speaker, a change maker, a gender dynamics intelligence expert, culture strategist, certified image consultant, magical conversational host, and a PhD in entreprenology. Her mission for 2022 is to ensure men and women of all nations and all differences and preferences value and understand our authentic harmony with each other. So let's move from a mindset to a creative mind flow of entreprenology in order to bring about new magical conversations for achieving joy and abundance for people, planet, and profit. This way, we can embrace a healthy life at work and for everyone. Please welcome my new friend that I just met a couple of weeks ago, but she's awesome. You'll love her. Please welcome Dr. Pauline Crawford-Omps. Where are you? There you are. Oh, you're muted still. Hold on.
Hang on.
There you are.
Here I am, beaming in from Las Vegas. And I'm so delighted to be here, Michelle. This is wonderful. And as you said, we're actually new friends, but I feel that we've known each other in a few lifetimes, don't you?
Yeah, you're my kind of gal. When we met, it's like, where have you been all my life? I know you.
But that actually is the real magic of being in the zone of magical conversations, because you tune into somebody straight away. It doesn't happen with everybody. So it's not just, oh yeah, everybody I meet, it's like that. It's very special.
It is very special. And that was why when I met you, I wanted to have you on my show, because you and I were speaking the same language, not realizing, I didn't realize we were speaking the same language. And you said, oh yeah, I wrote a book about this. You did. And I started reading your book. Oh, I have to put that up there. And we'll have the link up there later in a bit, because when more of you show up on the chat, and we can show you on her website and everything. But how many of you out there are like Pauline and I, where we got along with people and we were the peacemakers? We were the ones who can go into any conversation and make people calm down and be happy together. I didn't realize it was a gift. I just thought that's how it was. Dr. Pauline realized it was a gift, and she teaches everyone else how to do it. So we will share her website so that you can find more about Dr. Pauline and then learn about getting this book so you too can have what she calls magical conversations. Now, before we go into magical conversations, I want to know more about you, your mental shift on what brought you into something that's called magical conversations. You know, you've got the British accent, so the first thing that came to my mind was Harry Potter, but I'm quite sure you started this far beyond and before Harry Potter. So please, what was your mental shift? What brought you through that?
Well, thank you for asking, Michelle. And I think it's really important to exactly what you said. You thought it was a natural thing. You thought everybody does this, and I did too. You know, as a kid, it wasn't that I was a chatterer, but I was a conversationalist. I would connect people with conversations, even at school, and I didn't realize that it was a gift. And I was still, you know, dealing with all the things that girls do when they're growing up, and they're trying to go out with boys, or they're trying to understand why they're going to university, all those things. But I was always able to put people at ease and have a conversation. And it was actually my daughter who highlighted it for me. I must have done something really good. I don't know what it was. She said, oh my God, you're like the president of magical conversations. And this was when I was in my entrepreneurial life. So I had an early life, which was not ordinary, but it was, you know, I had a job, I got married, I had kids. I didn't really think that I would go back into work. I thought I'd have 4 children like my mum did, and I had 2. And I thought, no, there's something more to life. I want to be an entrepreneur. And so when I got into that, my daughter said to me, you know, you're like a president of magical conversations. And I thought, that sounds rather good. I like that. And I decided to call myself the ambassador of magical conversations, because I thought president was a little bit too haughty, really. But I tried it out, and I think this is one of the first lessons to share, is it's always a good idea to try something out. So I just got a very plain business card. I was in Great Britain, that's where I come from, and I've spent most of my life in the UK. So I had this card. I was in my 40s, and I had this card, and it was like an ambassadorial scroll. So it just said, Ambassador of Magical Conversations, Pauline Crawford. And I tried it out. And you know what, Michelle? It was amazing how people reacted. They all went, oh, I like that. I want more, without actually knowing what it meant. So I kind of thought, this is really interesting. And I tried it out in a very serious business environment with lawyers.
Oh,
And there came the test, because one of my clients was a female lawyer. She came rushing across at this event. It was a drinky poos, you know. And she said, "Oh, you must meet my husband." And she turned to him and said, "This is Pauline Crawford. She's the ambassador of Magical Conversations." And I must admit, my smile was sort of going, what's she going to say? And never make assumptions. It's one of the chapters in my book. He said, "Wow, that's exactly what law needs." And I thought, trust yourself, trust your intention, because when it comes from your heart and soul, it means something. And this was, I mean, this is 20 plus years ago. And even recently, I've been told, you know, "Oh, you can't take magical conversations into the boardroom." And I go, why not? Because magical conversations are about conversations without judgment. Hey, wouldn't that be good? And I think that's just something I did all my life. I wanted to explore what other people are around. So my mindset then was, be a friend, get to know somebody, share what you do, be interesting and be of interest.
yes.
Interesting in somebody else and interested in yourself. And so the shift from what I call mindset to mind flow has actually come through the COVID years. So the last 2 years, like all of us, I had to step back into the Zoom world of online connections, which has been fabulous. And Magical Conversations has studied every month. We've had tribes coming together, people from all across the world, different nations, different generations, different preferences. And we explore magical conversations about topics that sometimes seem difficult, and bringing things like love and kindness and care and compassion into the workplace. But it's also about life. And so what I've realized is that, yes, magical conversations can make the boardroom different, because we now live in a different world. So, I mean, it might sound strange, but I feel very open to COVID being an opportunity. And, you know, I know that it's a sad thing as well. And in fact, my husband is actually just recovered from COVID in hospital as we speak. He's coming home very soon. But it you know, and for some people it's been really sad. But if we look for magic in our lives, I believe we can find it even in sorrow, because it's not airy-fairy. It's actually saying, if we value each other, and I always valued people always through my life, but I didn't realize what I was doing. I started looking at how can we actually create that safe space? Because when people are in a tense situation, which we are with COVID and the pandemic and economic uncertainty, we get tense. So we need to find a safe space where we can share. And as you said in the opening, I also have a passion to help men and women understand each other, because as we know, we're different.
But male and female energy, I really love what you created, and I want to ask you about your diagram behind you in a minute. But the other thing I wanted to share before we get too far is we just shared Dr. Pauline's website. It's corporateheartinternational.com. If you go to corporateheartinternational.com, you can find a course drop down. You can find more about all this, what she's talking about. She's very open on her page. So you can go learn more about Dr. Pauline and her courses that she teaches, because really what she's just talking about is open understanding, open communication, male, female energy, and understanding the dynamic. And I'm about to ask her to explain that chart behind her, because it's the core, right, of what you do.
Absolutely. And so before we get to being male or female, we're all human beings. In fact, I was in a session recently and somebody said, "I'm grateful for getting to be more of a human being every day." I thought it was a lovely expression. But I look at similarities and differences. So let's start with the similarities. We're all human beings. And so you notice there's 3 arrows. So the green arrow is the me, each one of us. And, you know, we are complete as we are. We sometimes don't think we are. We think that other people control us. But truth is, we can choose to be who we are, male or female, different generations, different cultures. You and I have lots of things in common, but we are different ages, with different nationalities. We have different experiences, but we're both women. So I look at similarities and differences. But the second arrow is where I take myself. So the second arrow, the blue arrow, is all my relationships. You see these little people. I'll do a very simple exercise. You think of all the relationships in your life and you just score them 0 to 10. Very simple. 10 is really good and 0 is not very good. And they can be past relationships and even ancestors. And it's your sense of that relationship. So if you have lots of 3s in your life, it's pulling you down. If you have lots of 10s, it's lifting you up. But it all starts with the green arrow, because if you know yourself, then you enter those relationships. And so you start flowing. This is the mind flow of value creation. You flow into the red arrow, which is your productivity, your creativity, the world, the community you're in, the business you run. But it all starts with you in the green arrow. And it's a very Buddhist principle. I'm not Buddhist myself, but I think it's a very interesting spiritual philosophy. Mm-hmm. And this is very much a philosophy, is that everything in my world I need to take responsibility for. So core actually stands for choice, ownership, responsibility, and energy. I need to choose who I am as a woman and how I interact with other women, because we're not all the same, how I interact with other human beings who are male, and men are not all the same. And generations are different, and cultures are different, and preferences are different. So my passion was to create a togetherness where we're all on one map. So I take this is like the steering wheel in the car. And then the map is literally the map we drive on. So if anybody wants to have a copy of the updated map, I'm very happy to send it to them if they email me and say, hey, give me that map.
Well, we put your email in there, so they've got your email.
Well, my mission is that everybody in the world will understand the map, because I've made it simple. Even though life is complex, my goal is to make simple complexity. As I said, I've got 2 types of men, 2 types of women. That might sound as though it's limited. It isn't, because it creates a circle where every single person is somewhere. And as we travel across the map, a bit like going out on the GPS, there are certain baseline rules, like in this country, because I'm in the USA, the base rule is you drive on the, the right. Now, in England and Malaysia, where I used to live, and I think in the Philippines, I'm not sure, you drive on the left. Is that right?
No.
Oh, Malaysia.
We drive wherever there's an open space.
Yes. So we have base rules, like driving on the right side of the road and obeying the signals and stopping at red lights or whatever. But we adapt how we like to drive. What car do we have? How do we display ourselves? So it's the same with relationships. And obviously, there's a lot of emotions and practicalities here. But in my mission to help people have really magical conversations, in that green, we need to know who we are. And that's where I've had such fun over the last 2 years with COVID, because I've been able to gather people from all sorts of different cultures and different ages. And I actually get them to answer the same questions. I put all the men in one room and all the women in one room, and we answer the same question. And when you start listening to the answers, it's the subtle differences that make the difference. And in fact, I do have a YouTube channel, which people can find. If you just look for Pauline Crawford, you'll find some of these up there. But I'm going to publish some of them, because there's a very simple and fundamental difference between men and women, which I'll just allude to, is that men tend to go either or, yes, no, and say they have to have a task and they have to sort it out. Whereas women tend to go and have an idea and then a concept and so we're wonderfully and beautifully different. And my passion is to really help people understand that when we bring all this together, we can create authentic harmony. And
So
that's the
green-
song. That's the song for the next generation.
So green is self, blue is who's in your circle from 0 to 10, red is the path.
Red is your action, it's what you do. So the green is self, the blue is relationships, and the red is the external world that you live in. And one of the things that the mind shift to mind flow does is that it takes us out of worrying about the external, because you realize that the self and having self-compassion and self-love and self-value is actually what drives your success as an entrepreneur and, dare I say, as an entreprenologist.
And for our audience, you had an acronym for CORE. You said CORE was choice, opportunity, ownership.
Choice, ownership, responsibility, and energy. So you have a choice every moment of the day to choose positive or negative. Are you going to stay in the rut, or are you going to go into the open field? You need to own yourself, know who you are, not just your name and your job, but what's your values? How would you qualify yourself in terms of your principles and values? The responsibility is saying whatever happens, even if it's a mistake or an error or somebody's not very nice to me, what is my responsibility in responding? And the energy, the E is energy, which comes from doing that. So it's a very simple, complex world that we live in.
Well, and that's why we get along so well, because you put into actual action steps what I keep telling people. My thing is, stop apologizing for what you're not. Be the best version of you every day and be unapologetic about it. Own you. And from everything else, it will flow in your state because you know who you are and where you stand. And then you can let things flow in and out without freaking out about it or being upset about it. It is. And you can accept other people as who they are, and when I saw yours, I'm like, wow, you made logical sense out of what I just keep telling people. Just do it.
That's one of my core styles as a woman. So I have two archetypes of the female, which is the magician and the sovereign. And I'm a magician, which is I'm a mathematician, and I'm a geometrist and a map maker. That I'm in my head a lot, but I'm in my heart because I'm a female. And you might be a sovereign. You might be a female who's got so much intuitive, feminine energy, but we're the same because we're both women, but we're different in our preferences. And the same with the men. The men are the ruler of the philosopher. So the ruler is probably fairly straightforward. That's the masculine-minded man. He needs bullet points. He needs to know what's in the box. And the philosopher, who is very sensitive, and he asks questions, and he has this lovely feminine intuitiveness. I always quote Nelson Mandela, and I would quote Desmond Tutu as well, as these kind of men. So we need everybody. That's the key that I've learned in my going from mindset to mind flow, is that everything is flowing. And our choices along the way are really important, because when we're all elevated and enlightened, we shine our light in a very similar way. But retaining our uniqueness is what makes us special, and that we're all special.
Or as we were saying right before we went live on the air, is the world is a magical place. And if you don't know the story of Peter Pan, you just got to believe. And there's so much beauty and love, even in the terrible things that happen in our lives, but there's so much beauty in everything that happens in our world. And what we have to do for ourselves, for our sanity, is to find that spark, to find that magic in everything we do, so that we can see the magic that is actually all around us at all times. I want to ask, can you pull up the Magical Conversation book off of her website so everyone can see it? If you can pull up the link to it, and then that way they could see Magical Conversations, Transforming Conflict into Collaboration. And that is available on Amazon. We do have the link, and we'll share that with you in the comments. I lost you, Dr. Pauline.
I'm always here.
I had your face on the book. I think that's what happened.
And what's important in the book, and I know the way you write as well, is that we put life into what we do. It's no longer stodgy academia. So being an entreprenologist, which is another passion of ours, is that it's about real life. It's about looking at things differently. It's saying, okay, I'm the green arrow, and I need to live in the world with the relationships and other people, but I must know myself. And if I've got a real great idea and I want to do things differently, I can do it. You've done that.
Mm-hmm. And it's not about conversations, it's about communication. And that's what Dr. Pauline does. And that's what she shares. And what was I about to say? Oh, I wanted to share real quick. No, I want to do that later. I'll do it after commercial. So we've only got like 4 minutes before we break for commercial. And so I wanted to, what did I want to ask you? That's what I wanted to ask you. You keep saying this word that most people have never heard, entreprenology. What is that?
Well, it's a hugely, again, simple complexity. Everybody knows the word entrepreneur, and an entrepreneur is moving towards an entreprenologist. So an entreprenologist was a concept designed by my father-in-law, who's now passed, but my husband runs the University of Entreprenology. But the idea with entreprenology is it's going beyond the ordinary. So it's going beyond the kind of past static type of way of doing business. And what I love about it, it's also about giving back. So an entreprenologist might make a fortune, but they're not looking to hide the money in the bank and put it under the bed. They actually want to put it back into the world. They want to do something more. And then they see the bigger picture always. So they're not just building a business and that's it, take the salary home. They're actually looking at, how can I change things in the world? And they're very good at making mistakes, because actually that is key. It's like, everybody who's made it really big has always made mistakes and get over it. So my father-in-law had this idea about failure management. I love that. So entreprenologist is me. It's us looking beyond the ordinary. And we need that now in this world, because it's all about our experience. So we have this phrase, it says, combining knowledge, experience, and imagination. That's what entreprenology is. And imagination is free. Knowledge sometimes takes some time to kind of get together. And I'm not talking about just going to school. Experience is what is really important. And knowing when you make a mistake, you can do something different. But our imagination is where it all sparkles. And that's the magic, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think sometimes people have lost the idea that they can use their imagination. Well, actually, it's free.
And we're all well gifted in it. I actually just wrote a chapter in a book that I'm in, and it was based off of Think and Grow Rich. And the chapter I'm writing right now is about imagination. And one of the things I said is, for those of you who think you don't have it, it's the basis for all goals. You must imagine what you want and what you get from that in order to get what you want. So if you think you don't have an imagination and you've grown up, you don't have it, you need to reflect back to when you were a kid, when you were locked in the house sick and suddenly your entire room became a fort or a magic island. We did this naturally. It's part of us to have imagination. Now, as we grow older, we forget that imagination is what we can use to fuel our intelligence. So all that applied knowledge we've been getting, we can actually apply it and make it our own. And
Yes.
And that's what people forget. They do, well, I learned this, A, B, C, D. Well, yeah, A, B, C, D is great, but how do you use A, B, C, D? That's the magic, how you see it differently than everyone else. Because as you say, we're all very unique and we all bring a very magical thing to the world.
We are. So, I'm a doctor, but I didn't go to some dusty library to do my PhD academically. We actually promote the idea of experiential PhDs, because an entreprenologist, actually, they're the ones who are going to change the world.
They are the ones changing the world. Every huge thing that's ever happened has been someone who says, you know what, I got this. Let me make it into something else. And
Yes.
Before we go to break, I wanted to say something really, really quick. For those of you who are watching, Dr. Pauline is quite amazing, isn't she? Please share this live stream right now with anyone, your best friend, your halfway friend, whatever. Share it on your timeline so they can join us for the second half, because we have not even begun to get into what Dr. Pauline does and what she can present to all of you to help your conversations become magical conversations. Please stand by. We'll be right back after these commercials. And Dr. Pauline, don't leave me. I'll be right back.
I will hear.
Season's greetings from Colorado Springs, USA. Remember, have yourself a merry little Christmas and enjoy your family and friends this season. And we'll see you in the new year. Thank you for watching Mental Shift. Remember, TNC is a live stream platform of online shows for people on the go. So please watch all of our shows that are seen here on the screen. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content, but we make it easier for you. TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our vision is to become a global 24/7 live stream channel that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. So please watch Mental Shift every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time in the United States and Wednesday mornings, 9:30 a.m. in the Philippines. And you can watch anything live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube. And follow us on Instagram. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC Now. And for sponsorships, please email now, NOW, at thenewchannel.com or send a direct message straight to the new channel. So enjoy these life-changing shows because we truly have made them for you. And welcome back. Please share the live stream and please welcome back Dr. Pauline Crawford-Omps.
Hi there.
Hello again. Now, you were talking about entrepreneurship and that your father-in-law created this word and why and all this. He created a university, did he not?
He did. And I know that you're going to participate in this, which is really exciting. But I want to just tell a story because this is magical. And
Please.
10 years ago, I went to a conference in Budapest from London, and I didn't want to go. I didn't know what it was about. I was invited by a friend, and she kind of forced me by giving me the ticket. Anyway, when I got there, it was all about small and medium enterprise business across the world. And they're the sort of the seeds for entrepreneurs. But at that conference, my now husband, Professor James Omps, was there. And I remember as I met him and we kind of rather took to each other, he said, I'm a professor of entreprenology. And I thought, oh, I like that. What is it? It was a bit like when I talked about magical conversations. And he said, what do you do? And I said, I work with gender dynamics, archetypes, and conversations with men and women. He said, oh, he said, that's really interesting. So there was kind of personal attraction and a business attraction. But what I've learned over the years, apart from falling in love with him and looking forward to him coming out of hospital today, is that entreprenology is the essence of our mind flow. And women are very good at business and creative pursuits. And, you know, they haven't always had their fair share of the, dare I say, the serious corporate world. And I think I've experienced 4 years in Malaysia and now 3-4 years in America and a long time in UK. Okay. Women are really, really very good at business. They're good at ideas. They know how to apply them, and working with men or working with women. And I think that entreprenology and my work with gender dynamics was part of the love match that came together in, of course, a magical conversation. So I'm excited that this year, we can actually express entreprenology as a growth industry because, you know, the world is moving away from the corporate, heavy duty, not very nice place to be. We've got hybrid working, we've got such change. And I read some stat about how many people are not wanting to go back to work. Mm-hmm. So if everybody has natural gifts and they've all got imagination, not everybody will be an entrepreneur, not everybody will be an entreprenologist, but there will be lots of people who want to work with entrepreneurs and entreprenologists. Mm-hmm. So we can actually shift and change the world, both by accelerating women's impact, but women and men together, which is the magic synergy, to be that authentic harmony music of 2022. That's makes me tingle.
Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of it. And that's why the other reason when I met Dr. Pauline and she told me what she did, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's kind of what I'm doing already. What? So I am pursuing my doctorate in this university. And so you'll learn more about it as I grow into my journey to this doctorate that I've always wanted. And for those of you who don't know, if you've watched me and you've followed me, I'm very good at a lot of things. And I didn't realize that that was part of that whole entreprenology quest in my being. I kept saying, well, I'm an engineer. That's what I am. I'm an engineer. But I never quite fit there. Well, then I'm a political writer. Never quite fit there either. I was good, but it wasn't where my passion was. And it wasn't until I broke out into my own world, turning on lights on other people so that they could go out and be the best version of them. I had to imagine a whole new version of what I could bring to the world. That is what entreprenologists do. And if that's what you are doing, and if that's what you are finding in your world, you need to reach out to Dr. Pauline, get to her website. It's up in this thread. Get to her website and say, hey, this sounds like me. Tell me more about this school, because we can change the world. As when COVID hit, I'm as a speaker, I'm speaking all around the world virtually, and everyone's writing me on the back end saying, I don't want to go back to what I did. There's got to be something better here. And this is one of the answers. There are
one of the things I think what is important is that not everybody wants to be their own boss.
No.
But to work with somebody who's enthusiastic and understands people means that you will have a happier life at work. So Corporate Heart International, my business company, as well as the business company, is about how do we create happy workplaces, and how do we do that? We open up people to their truth, to share and contribute in magical conversations using the philosophy that I talked about earlier. It is possible. One of the reasons that people don't want to go back to work is that it's not a happy experience. But if it was a happy experience, we may still be hybrid, but people want to be belonging. They want to be with people. And we've got some amazing examples of places where people say, hey, I really like working here. And, oh, we do really good business as well. It's a plus plus. And that's what I dream of, is bringing all of this together so that we can be true to ourselves and know others in a very simple, complex way. And that, this whole idea of people, planet, and profit. So companies still make money, but they value what's going on around them.
Now, if you're watching and you're like, how do I learn more about this? I want you to go to the website. Well, it's way up here now. I can't get to it. Do you have the website easily added into corporateheartinternational.com?
Corporate Heart International.
Go there. There's a drop down for courses. There's also, if you connect with Dr. Pauline on Facebook or LinkedIn, she announces courses that she does where she does them live online, and you can sign up to get into those. But right now she's got one called Real Synergy for 2022 and beyond, men and women leading success together. Can we put up that poster?
Mm-hmm.
And you can find out more about that course. As soon as that poster comes up, you'll see it. You can go learn more about the course on her website. There it is.
Okay.
Right.
Well, this way.
Yeah.
Actually, at the moment, it's not on my website because I haven't put it up there. But if anybody has the energy to email me, I will send that to them with the details, because it's been the work over the last 2 years to really look at what's the synergy between men and women. So synergy is the multiple of all the pieces. So it could apply to your family, it could apply for your relationship, or it could apply to your business. And it could apply just to women together or men together or men and women together. But it's a way of discovering about yourself. And that's my passion, is I don't tell you how to do it. I give you the safe space and the tools and the techniques in order to flourish. And that's what Mind Flow is about.
So you can write her, Pauline, at corporateheartinternational.com. It's up in the thread. So if you can't remember that, just look up on the thread, Pauline at corporateheartinternational.com. Learn more about her, because an hour is not enough to get the information out of Dr. Pauline. Okay. So that's why I'm putting up as many links as possible so that you can go find her and learn more from her and get connected, because really it's the way to change the world. Opening communication and realizing we're not better or worse. One side is not, women aren't better than men. Men aren't better. We need each other in synergy. And so that's why I'm telling you, go connect. Connect.
Well, I think one of the things I wanted to mention, Michelle, because I know this is what we tuned into, it's about real life. And it's about continually learning about who you are and dealing with challenges. I've had a challenge over the last 3 weeks because my husband, Professor James Omps, he actually has been in hospital with COVID. And to be honest, he got to a point where he might have left this earth. There was a night where he was really, really struggling. And I think he chose to stay. I don't know whether people believe that or not, but I know he chose to stay. And he had a challenge for a few days. But then suddenly he called me last Thursday and he said, right, I'm ready to come home. It's taking me a bit of time to get him home, when he's on his way, literally now. This is real life to the listeners. But it sounds strange, but it's so exciting, because I know that he's come through, and I've learned a lot about human emotions and forgiveness and unconditional love and so many things. And this is not just for our own personal life, it's for everything in our life. I believe that we can have life at work and love at work. We can have love at home. everything is about communication, conversation, relationships. That's what we're about, isn't it, Michelle?
Yes, and then the other part was no judgment. That's the whole thing about it is you don't come in with a pretense. You don't come in expecting something else and then speaking to that other pretense. It's coming in and taking people as they are and understanding who they are and you
Yes.
understanding yourself to the core. And that's why I was so excited to have you on, that you could share your diagram in the back there and realize that there's a core to all
Oh,
of it.
there is. And one of the things I really learned, and I want to share this, is I think we need a world of forgiveness, because there were a lot of people arguing in the boardroom, at home, and let's not even go into politics. But arguing is a waste of time, I think. Having healthy debates, talking about issues, yes, but sharing with no judgment, no anger, and no controlling the outcome. We want to seed a new world. And that's where I think forgiveness without making excuses is really important. So many times people say, well, I'll forgive you, but, and no, just forgiveness.
Yeah.
In fact, the Archbishop Desmond Tutu was a great one for forgiveness. And I think in the world, we need to forgive ourselves for anything that's past. We've got a very important job to do, men and women, to lead our own lives, to create that value cycle there. The only person who can create our own value is ourselves, and then gift it to others.
That's a mic drop right there. No, it's just such a pleasure to have Dr. Pauline here with us. And please find her on our website, because what we've hinted is her husband is coming from hospital any moment now, any moment. And what I told Dr. Pauline is, if the phone rings and it's the hospital, or if you hear the doorknob turn, just get off the call, get off this line and go see your husband. She has not seen him in quite a while because of the whole COVID thing. And that's probably the whole magic, right? How everything lined up and all the things you've learned.
I think one of the things that COVID teaches us, though, is because of technology, to keep in touch more, because we can video WhatsApp, we can FaceTime, depending on your telephone, we can get on a Zoom. Obviously, the person needs to be wanting to, but the issue of being locked out of the room because of COVID has really struck at my heart. And I know this has happened to millions of people, but when it happens to you, you suddenly realize, oh my God, I can't touch him. I haven't actually touched him for 2.5 weeks now. And it's like, oh wow, and when healing is all about touch. So remember to make extra effort when you use the right words, even if we're underneath our mask, is to smile with your eyes and use words that are embracing joy and interest and concern. Have some self-compassion and compassion. I don't know. The whole experience has helped me to understand even more how important magical conversations are, and how we need to open up the mind to flow, because only by flowing can we reach all the parts of the world that we need.
And you've been to a lot of places in the world. But the one thing I also wanted to share with everyone is, did you hear what Dr. Pauline said? She learned over the past 3 weeks. She learned. We are always learning. No one is perfect. And so stop beating yourself up if things don't happen exactly the way you think it's supposed to work. Learn from it, grow from it, flow from it, and keep moving. And that was the other thing about, Dr. Pauline, you're humble, that beauty of you, you're pure. And that when we talk, you're like, you know what? This is happening, and I'll let it go, but I'll let it go. And so when people meet us, they're thinking, oh, they never mess up, but no, we are always learning. That's the gift of life. That's the magic. If you stop learning, you become stagnant, then you're not here anymore. You're dead. So keep learning, allow yourself to mess up, and forgive yourself when you do. Learn from it, and it's not a mess up. It's a learning experience.
And think about, is something expanding in front of me, or is it contracting? So even if there's a danger around, which we might contract from, is how can we expand to go around it? You know, we don't have to get involved in an argument or a fight. We can actually say, no, this is not for me. And don't be a walkover. Don't listen to the naysayers in your life. Always move in that flow. Remember, you are in charge of your own destiny. I know that sounds awfully trite, but it's really, really important. And you know that. I know from your life history, you've had to make so many challenging decisions. And that's really what it sounds strange, but I have really come out of this whole COVID experience with a new insight into my feeling about the world and my destiny, because I really want to make a difference. I have grandchildren. I don't want the world to be going the wrong direction, let's put it that way. And if I've got another 20 years to go, then I'm going to make a difference.
Yes. Every day make a difference, right? And
Absolutely.
well, I want to respect your time and respect that your husband's coming home any moment. And you have dropped so many golden nuggets to the audience and to me and to all the people who are going to be watching the replay. I encourage all of you to go to her website, go connect with Dr. Pauline and say, you know what? I'm interested in the real synergy for 2022. I want to have real magical conversations, because with every magical conversation we have in this world, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 2-on-1, whatever it is, we're making the world a better place with every.
And I can make a promise to people that once you come to me and we start exploring the map, you're going to say, oh my God, that's so amazing. Because it's, as I say, it's simple complexity. It's actually a lot of things we really know, but we haven't put them into a way of using them. It's like what you said about everybody's got imagination. Everybody has emotions. It's like when women say to me, oh, men are not emotional. I say, well, they are. It's just different.
Yeah. They just express it differently. And that's the reason I wanted you on. Two, I wanted everyone to see your book and connect with you on your website, because they can get your book, they can get into your courses, because you really do break it up into the different, like 4 segments of types of people and how we can overlap. And you actually see yourself, and you can actually see your spouse polar opposite of you in that spectrum, and it's kind of cool to watch. So
oh, it is. It's wonderful. And as I say, if anybody can't find the relevant details on my website, just email me. I'm putting new information up. We're creating some new platforms for entreprenology and for gender dynamics. It's just that December has rather slowed me up with having COVID come into my experience. And I know that everybody will understand that, but it is a very important thing. And I also love different parts of the world. And I have been to the Philippines. I lived in Kuala Lumpur. I lived in England, obviously. I've traveled around lots of parts of the world. And the biggest thing I know is that people are people. And people want to be loved. They want to be heard. They want to be valued. And that's my passion, is helping people to find their own way around that value cycle and around the map, so they can do magic.
I love it.
Oh yeah, I got to show you this, Michelle. Look.
Oh, you've got a magic wand. And I was thinking, you can do magic.
Magic.
Yes,
absolutely. In fact, there's my husband is also a singer and a keyboard player. You see the guitar at the back there. And there's songs around magic. You probably remember some of them, you know. And he's going to do me a signature tune for being a magical conversationalist.
Oh, lovely. Well, I want to thank all the viewers and everyone who's making comments on the side. There's so many of you. I'm having difficulty reading them all, because there's Jackie and Edna and Helene and Bipa and Ken Roshan's he's here. Marcel, they're all the way up there. So thank you all for watching and for joining us. Connect with Dr. Pauline. We've given you her website way up there at corporateheartinternational.com. And we are so happy that your husband's coming home and that he is much better from his scare with that whole COVID thing. And please be well. Have a wonderful new year. And I can't wait to be working more with you, working on my doctorate in entrepreneurship. Um,
I'm so looking forward to it. Thank you, Michelle. This has been an absolute uplifting situation, and I feel very expansion. I felt expansion.
Excellent. I'm thinking amplify in my mind.
Amplify as well. Yes, that's the other word.
Yes. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching us. Remember, Mental Shift is on every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time in the United States, Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. in the Philippines. And it'll be a replay next week, but I'll be back live the week after. So be well, be the best version of you every day, be unapologetically you. And go follow Dr. Pauline Crawford. You can find her on LinkedIn. You can find her on Facebook. Go find her name. She's really easy to pop up. You see that face right there. That's her. And we'll see you next time on Mental Shift. And Dr. Pauline, go enjoy time with your husband. Go, you get to touch him again. He's back in real life. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
I can have the biggest hug going.
Yes. And my husband just wrote, everything she does is magic. Lovely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Be well, and we'll all see you next time we're on Mental Shift. Until then, be well.